Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, it's officially here. Kaspa is now at 10 freaking blocks per second. We're going to talk about it. We'll give our quick little thoughts on it, as well as my biggest question regarding this update is how it was going to affect the mining aspect. Specifically, is it going to make the little guys viable to solo mine with? We did a 24-hour test on my son's little KS2 Lite. The results were pretty damn good, right? So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about why that's the case and just give our overall thoughts. If that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So the Crescendo hard fork is here. We are officially at 10 blocks per second. And so far, things are looking great, which is a big deal, right? This was, I'm sure, extremely nerve-wracking for their team because, again, this is something they had been working for a long time. All eyes are on them, right? And they delivered, right? So kudos to them for doing so. Amazing, amazing job. And now, in case you're not familiar, it is bringing Kaspa from 1 block per second, which is already pretty damn fast, to 10 freaking blocks per second, right? So one thing I do want to clear up, there's been a lot of questions like, yes, if you are mining, you are definitely going to be hitting a lot more blocks, but those blocks rewards are being reduced by a magnitude of 10, right? We're at 10 blocks per second, we were at 1. So instead of it being 55 cas per block, it's now going to be 5.5 cas per block, right? So the emissions are going to change. It's just going to be essentially divided by the 10. As Kaspa does scale in the future, because this isn't the end game, right? It's going to go to 20, it's going to go to 32, it's going to go to whatever they end up scaling it to. You're just going to divide it by that amount, right? So the overall emissions remains the same. It's just those block rewards are going to change, okay? So make sure you do fully understand that. Now, as we look at the Kaspa Explorer, it's pretty insane, right? Again, 10 freaking blocks per second when you do these little visualizers. It's pretty dramatic, pretty cool to see it actually displayed here visually. And the key thing that we wanted to look at was how it was going to affect mining, right? So now the biggest thing that's been talked about, this was a big thing at a lot of the keynotes that Shai did last year at like WDMS, at Mining Disrupt, and it was the thing that stood out to me the most is how it was going to help to decentralize mining even more so, right? In a way, it was kind of like, oh, I'm not sure. But theoretically, it's just because there's going to be so many more blocks on a daily basis that your odds of now hitting a block just went up by a magnitude of 10, right? So in theory, giving any of the smaller guys, so if you need guys with like KS0s, KS0 Pros, the little KS2 Lights, any of the little home miners, it can potentially make those guys viable again to solo mine with, just because, again, the odds of you hitting that block, hitting some form of revenue just went up by 10, right? To give you an example of what it is, now at 10 blocks per second, every single day, Kaspa will make 864,000 blocks. Okay? That is massive. That is ridiculous. Okay? That means you have 864,000 chances per day to hit a block, right? So, and you guys with like the little guys, even if you just have one or two, definitely going to be worthwhile to at least give it a shot to solo mine, because at least hopefully you'll be able to get revenue on a more frequent basis than potentially going like months without hitting a block, right? So the question was, is that actually going to play out, right? In theory, it sounds good, but also in theory, a lot of us have solo mined in the past, and what typically ends up happening? You're going to have spurts of good luck where you are going to hit blocks a little bit more frequently, but in the long term, typically it would average out unless you had some form of an advantage on the network. For example, you have a lot of hash rate and you have not necessarily just the majority, but a big chunk of the hash rate on a smaller network. So like back in the GPU days, if you had a relatively big farm, new coin comes out, you have a lot of hash rate and you throw all of it on there, chances are you're going to be hitting a lot of freaking blocks, right? Same thing with any of these like Kaspa forks, anything like that. If you have a lot of hash rate, you throw it on there, just theoretically, you're going to be hit blocks more frequently if you have a big chunk of the hash rate, right? So here, now, it's so far played out, right? So let's look at it. So again, the test subject was my son's little KS2 Lite. which is a little 2 terahash unit, little small at home guy. It's essentially been here on Kaspa Pool since he got it, right? It's been since last November. It's ran extremely well. Our test was to run it on solo 24 hours, see what it does, right? So what you want to compare is not only how many blocks you're hitting, but how many blocks you're hitting in comparison to how many blocks you potentially should be hitting, right? So for example, here, Kaspa Pool makes it very easy to do this comparison because your estimated earnings based on your hash rate, based on the 2 terahash, would be about 9.74. Okay. So realistically, that's what? Give or take about 2 blocks. If we hit the 2 blocks, we would actually be exceeding that just because, again, we would be at 11 versus the 9.74. Okay. So as we look at how many we are actually hitting, so far in the 24 hours, again, we converted it to solo as soon as it went live. And in that 24-hour period since it went live, we hit a total of 5 freaking blocks. Okay, you can see here the first one was hit at 3 o'clock my local time, 31% luck, 11% luck, 63% luck, 11% luck, 48% luck. Okay, this last one was today at about 8:43 a.m. We didn't hit another one yet as of now. So in that 24-hour span, it was a total of 5 blocks, when just hitting 2 should be our average. So more than double, right? So realistically, it is extremely lucky. I don't think this is going to be the norm, but if we're able to hit even 2 on average, maybe 3, we would definitely exceed our number that we would be doing pool mining. Okay. Is this going to be the case for all of them? It's hard to say if this is also going to translate to the bigger miners, right? Because realistically, let's say I have my KS5 Pro and it's also solo mining, right? It should, in theory, hit more blocks also. It's hard to say, right? To me, the advantage is clearly going to be for the smaller guys just because, again, it's 864,000 different entities, different miners that have a chance to hit that block, right? Regardless of your hash rate. Obviously, the more hash rate, the higher the likelihood is, but it does kind of level the playing field out, right? So one thing I would want to ask any of you guys who have been solo mining since the change, regardless of what you have, whether it's a little guy, a big guy, let us know in the comments, how did yours do in those 24 hours? Okay. Make sure though that the pool you used didn't have any issues. There were quite a few who did have issues. We'll talk about one here specifically. So far, again, we were on Kaspa Pool from the beginning. 0 issues, right? As a matter of fact, it's done extremely well. Will that luck continue? We're going to have to see long term, right? Realistically, this is a test that's best determined long term to see how viable it is, because although our average is currently 33%, for example, on this current block, it's at 66%, right? So is our luck running out? We're going to have to wait and see, but even kind of looking back at his, it's actually done extremely well, right? So we were pool mining prior to this, but you can see how many blocks you've hit, right? Even going back to April 8th, 24%, which is good. 96.85, which is average. 292, though. This was definitely the standout. This is the only one that did hit excessively high. That was on the 12th. 37%, 71%, 2%, 14% back-to-back, which is kind of nuts. And then 31, 11, 63, 11, 48. So overall, it's actually done extremely well. So realistically, even to this prior update, we probably would have done better just even solo mining, but now obviously at 10 blocks per second, so far at least, it does seem to be doing well, right? We're going to have to see if the luck continues. Is it just a super lucky spurt, or going to have to wait and see, right? So I'll keep you guys updated. Most likely I'll do posts unless it does keep up at this dramatic pace. Like if it averages 3, that would be pretty insane. But again, for any guys, with whatever you have, please let us know in the comments. That way we get some data points for all of us to kind of see, because if some of you guys are having pretty good luck also on the big boy, let me just plug in my KS5. Might as well just do it anyway, but we'll see. But overall, things are looking good. We'll see if it continues. Now, in terms of Kaspa's price action, did this hard fork really have any effect? It did leading into it, right? We did almost break 11 cents end of April, and then just a few days ago, we did have a nice little run at 10 cents. Currently, though, it is down under 9 cents, so realistically, most likely a buy the rumor, sell the news, which is very typical, right? And you guys have been in the space. This is to be expected. This is what typically happens, and this is why. A lot of us do tend to take profits, although anything can happen at this point, right? We are at a point where we can be at one point and then next week something else, but realistically, this is probably going to be a bearish week anyway, just because, again, we have FOMC this week. So it's just going to follow the market whenever there's uncertainty. That's what happens. Realistically, the expectation is that we're not getting a rate cut. So although the market already knows that, it still is overly dramatic and prices may dump further. It's really going to depend on Jay Powell's tone. Is it going to be hawkish, dovish? Like, that's where we're going to base things. Realistically, next month could be a big catalyst, though. The expectations are extremely high for a rate cut, which can be extremely positive for the overall market. But in terms of the effect of this hard fork on Kaspa's overall price, not so great, not really a whole much of a difference. But in these few months, though, there has been opportunities, right? If you bought any of these dips where it went down to a nickel, you are sitting pretty right now. We had a couple of opportunities back on March, one in April. Well, we'll get another one here. Who freaking knows? But overall, if you buy any of those dips, looking pretty good. In terms of ASIC mining profitability, again, on the pool side, it's not really going to do anything. This will only really affect people if you are solo mining. There may be an advantage there, right? Specifically, my thought process would be more likely with the little guys, right? For example, if a KS0, KS0 Pro, if your time to find a block was like 60 days, 70 days, chances are you may get a payment more frequently now versus waiting months at a time, right? So for any guys who are, let us know in the comments. If we look at the overall hash rate, kind of remain the same just because, again, the majority of people are just pool mining, right? And it occurs Kaspa's current price action. It's not profitable for a lot, especially depending on the ASIC you have. Again, the more efficient units, efficiency being longevity. At a 10-cent kilowatt hour, the KS5 is still profitable. Some of the other guys, though, like the KS5 Lite, for example, is still at a pretty significant loss. And this is at a 10-cent kilowatt hour. Obviously, if you have better electric, it definitely changes things. But like we had mentioned, make sure you are checking your pool. If you haven't checked your rewards or anything in a while, make sure you are doing well. For example, shout out to AJ on X. I know he did let me know he was having issues on K1. When we dug in a little bit, you can see they definitely struggled, right? So it was at 3 petahash here on their solo pool. Spiked up to about 4.5, and you can definitely see here it was not able to handle that load. Did dip down to like 249 terahash, recovered, and then not too long after went down again. Haven't looked at it since then. I'm hoping it's been up, right? So I haven't checked, but make sure you guys do check on your pools. Again, just for reference, Castle Pool has had 0 issues since the start. But again, guys, just wanted to give you some data points, especially for you guys who've been kind of discouraged with Kaspa ASIC mining. And I get it. It's been rough. This has been a rough stretch, but this is part of the game. But for you guys with like KO0s, KO0 Pros, you may want to try solo mining, see if maybe you hit a block any sooner. But again, let me know in the comments, guys. Have you had any success? What has it been? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? And if you could put also what pool you're using, right? Just so we can get points of reference. Let me know in the comments, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I am out.